Did you get to see it?
Keep up. I want to hear the results here. Did you see the transit of Venus?
We did. Yes. John and I put our welding hoods on and stood in the yard like Neanderthals. We look so funny. It's so cool.
Very good.
Oh, my God. What did it look like?
It was kind of, through our lenses, it was kind of green, but there was the big sun, and up at about 1 o'clock there was this beautiful dot, like when you make a exclamation point, it's so present.
Mm-hmm.
It was fabulous. And then the energy after that, the light was so white, you couldn't even look around the sun. Even in the sky, it was so bright.
Oh, my goodness.
Did you guys get to see it?
We don't have welding goggles.
Exactly. Or FedEx mailing.
We got about 6. You're always welcome.
Thank you. We depend upon you to do things like that for us.
That would have made a great picture.
It really would have.
You guys looking up there with the reflection of the sun and the Venus transit. Would have been cool.
It really would have. Because when I looked at John, I thought, this is so far out. I mean, God, look at my husband. This looks so weird.
And he looked back at you and said, this is so weird.
Yeah, he did. Now you look strange. I was like, it's always mutual.
Well, that's
energy.
Yeah, that's wonderful. What did you say? You heard what?
I heard that the Hubble telescope was also taking pictures of the transit, but that it couldn't take pictures directly of the sun as well. So it had to look at the transit through the reflection in a crater on the moon.
No.
Wow.
Oh, that's cool.
Wow.
Oh, my God. Who could ever make that up?
Yeah, that was my thought as well.
I love it. Well, we know a few people who are here. Sadnakar is here. And who was asking the question? Is that Carol?
Nope, Hari Daskar is here.
Oh, Hari Das. Were you the one asking the question?
The original about the transit, yes.
Yes. Oh, cool. Thank you, dear. And we know Hargobind is here.
Yes.
Welcome. How's Meta now?
Meta's got some really good improvements.
Last night
I went to her after yoga. I had a great class and wanted to bring all that energy in, and I was sitting there meditating with her with my hand on her hand, and her hand moved about 6 times.
Wow.
And then this morning they were. Oh, it's great. Then this morning when they were working on her, they were pulling the tube out, and she whipped her arm up to push the doctor out of the way.
Wow.
And then a nurse was trying to clean her eyes out, and she pushed her other arm up to push her out of the way. So she's coming along quick, and now they've named her the Miracle Girl.
Yay! Can you explain a little bit more about her, who she is, and what happened? And go ahead.
Yeah, she was in an accident. She was just sitting at the light, and somebody just ran into her.
Oh my God!
And that's what happened there.
And she's your niece. She's a niece of you and Guru
niece.
Ravi and Ranjit Kaur, right?
That's right. Yeah, she's our niece, and she's she's always been a special kid. She's always been a real angel, and she's like a yogi ever since she's a little kid. And she's an actress, and she does plays and stuff in theater around here.
And everybody in the Soul Answer Tribe has been sending her healing and prayers and so on.
Oh yeah, and that's why she's doing so good.
Yeah, and so we'll continue that this morning.
Yeah, we appreciate that.
Oh yeah, she's part of the tribe now.
Yes, she is. I'm going to go see her again when I get off, finish with this call. I'll go back to the hospital.
Oh, good. That'll be good. So who else is here?
This is Kathy from Juneau, Alaska.
Hi, Kathy. Welcome.
Thank you.
And who else?
Sadhanam.
Hi, Sadhanam. Also
Hi.
on Nitya.
Atma. Manitya.
Manitya Atma.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Who else is here?
Harimunder.
Hi, Harimunder. Welcome.
Hey, thank you.
Yeah, and who else? Who else is here?
Carol.
Oh, Carol is here. Welcome, Carol. And who else?
Harinder.
Hi, Harinder.
Hi.
Welcome. And who else? Anybody else? Okay, so we will get going. Is Rahmani here? Okay. So Rahmani reminded me, and I'm so happy that she did, that it's solstice.
I'm here, Siri Gian.
Oh, good. I know you had to undo the star 6.
We're muted.
Good.
Yeah.
Welcome to you and Thomas.
Thank you.
And if you want to read Thomas's wonderful poem, join our Facebook group and take a look. It's quite inspiring. Now, Rahmani reminded me that the Peace Prayer Day would be a wonderful time for our tribe to meet in person and give a great big group hug. So we're going to do that on Saturday, Peace Prayer Day, June 16th, right after I'm teaching a course called The Reluctant Healer in the Earth Tent from 10:30 to 12:30. So right outside of the Earth Tent at 12:30, we're going to meet. So I'm really looking forward to seeing everybody. Bless you. Now, is anybody else here? Okay. Oh, and we also need people to host our booth in the evenings, either from 5 to 7 or 7 to 9. So if you're interested in any of that, please, oh please, email me at sirigian@soulanswer.com. Okay. Those are the announcements. And so now let's get on with Baba Siri Chand. He says, yes. He says, this is a very business-like meeting. He says, okay. So sit straight, please. Feet flat on the floor. Or if you were in easy pose, either one. Begin long, deep breathing from the belly through the nose. Good. Relax in your breath. Relax in your breath. He says, those air beds? He says, what are they? Those number control air beds? He says they're so comfortable. He says your breath, the air of your breath is so comfortable. Go to it. Go to the comfort and the flow of your long, deep breath. He says, let the pain, the worry, fear, concerns, he says, let them flow away down the stream, please. Even fear of the very greatest kind. Good. Now, focus at the third eye point. Palms together. Inhale to begin. Namah, Siri Gurudeva Namah, Agare Namah, Judagare Namah, Sagare Namah, Siri Gurudeva Namah, Agare Namah, Judagare Namah, Sagare Namah, Siri Gurudeva Namah. Long deep breath. And begin heart breath. Allow yourself to expand. Let go tiredness. He says, let go deafness. So, sir, what does that mean, let go deafness? He says, oftentimes you don't hear the call of your own body. He said, sometimes you don't hear me whispering in your ears, sometimes trying to shout. He says, let go of your deafness. He says, you most often hear the calls of your own mind. He says he's not downplaying mind because that's a very, very special gift. But he is asking for balance. Open your heart. Long deep breath, exhaling from the heart center. Good. Feel the comfort from that. Good. And continue, please. Do heart breath and send it to everybody in our group, whether you're on the phone now, live, or whether you're listening to the recording. He says, keep opening, opening. He says, recognizing each one's beauty, each one's gifts, uniting hands. He says, feeling the strength among us. He says, do you see what's happening? We are creating a very vibrant, very real net of light. He says, you cannot imagine. He says, before you can plant a seed, you need to have earth. You need to have a flower pot or a place in the earth that is well worked, that is that has good nutrition. He says, this is what you are developing among you. You may think this is a simple exercise from week to week. He says, this is very real business. He says, and you will continue this light working in the future, understanding that you are a net of light. He says that is superimposed or that is merged with other networks of light. He says, but we're doing our part here. Keep up. He says, for instance, you are a net of light. He says that is encouraging and helping the growth of metta. Keep up, please. He says she is a very special daughter of mine, and with every breath, she calls to her the growth of the planet. So simply by her needing healing and us moving into that, he says, again, she is the healer. Imagine that. By calling on the healing from each one of us. So keep up, please. And now let us send our heart breath to her. Hargo Ben posted a very beautiful picture on Facebook, on our Facebook group. Good. He says, please feel your heart breath energy entering her fingers and toes. And thereby moving through her nadi system, which is her meridians, moving through her nervous system, her vascular system. He says, understand that this is a very specialized prana situation. Please allow your heart breath to move all the way through her. He says, and feel the elevation of what you would call God with your heart breath. Remember, this God is not outside you, but flowing from within and uniting with the God presence of others to create this very, very unique healing with her. He says it is our group project. Keep up our breath.
That's great.
Good. He says, now I'm going to continue talking here, but he says, I just want you to continue your heart breath for this dear woman, young woman. Just keep it going. Don't be distracted, but just keep it going. He says, now I have a few words to tell you today. Okay. He always surprises me. Okay, he says, you are giants. You are giants and plaintiffs of literature, of the arts. He says, of group therapy. He says, you are the mindset of the ages. He says, the ages that have come before influence you. He says, the pull of the open soul and true union pull you into the future. He says, do you understand how you are a very clear center point? In your present, you are a clear center point between the past, all that has come before, and all that we are headed for. In true union, in this place of open space and unity within the Aquarian. He says you hold the center point. He says each person, each place on this planet, each person holds a center point for evolution, for evolving what he calls the Nam. And so I'm saying, sir, what do you mean by the Nam? You know, we call it the name, the Sat Nam, and so on, the identity. He says, I'm calling the Nam the very real vibration of knowing who you are. He says it's not just words, it's not lip service. He said it is a pure vibration, the strength, the knowing, the blessing of moving forward. As we move forward, as we drop the ego-centered ideas that may have come from the past. You know, we come from the ages of evolution and revolution that include wars, they include times of peace, they include, as he said, the literature, the thinkers of the age of reason, cause and effect, science. He says those are all real vibrational qualities. He says they are just not thoughts traipsing across a person's computer screen. What he means is a mind computer screen. He says they are not just things written in books that you can look up. He says they are very real vibrational qualities that are written, he says, in what you might call the Akashic Record, but it is within the karmic, the dharmic evolution of circumstances. He says, you know what a DVD is. You know that energy is energy and information is stored on a disk. He says, this is energy, informational energy that is stored in what you might call the ethers. It is very clear. He calls it very cool. And it is this constant, he calls it a melting pot and a source of funding and ideas and knowledge from which we all draw. He says our position as a light worker, as a group of light workers, is to continue to move this evolution of energy, of knowledge, of knowing, of association, of union from our own present into this evolutionary pot or pool or ocean of knowledge that we all are drawing from and that we are all depositing in. He says that process is a very strong, ongoing process, and that is how evolution occurs, because when more and more people deposit the light, deposit the clarity, the cleared ego sense, he says that is how others will begin to get it. He says, we have told the story before of the 100th monkey. He says, just briefly, that is, one monkey on an island learned how to wash his sweet potato in the water. The other monkeys on that island learned as well from him. And when the 100th monkey had learned how to do this, then the monkeys on the other islands, who had never seen the original monkeys, they suddenly began washing their sweet potatoes too. He says that's how it works. He says that information is put into the collective, which you would call the collective. It is the very big, he said you can call it the very big group computer. And he said as you put the messages of light, messages of hope, messages of transformation and transition, messages of pure synchronicity will begin to occur. More and more people will begin to turn to this evolutionary light. They will draw upon it, which is in the collective. He says the biggest mismatch ever is for you to not recognize that you are the God participating as the God with the God of all. He says, where do you think the mastership comes from? He says the mastership occurs as one becomes the evolutionary channel into the collective. He said that is mastership. When you can live in your own cleared presence, when you can change yourself, when you develop a habit of clearing, of healing yourself, he says it automatically, he says that informational flow, he says that very real transformational mechanism, he said is, the word is not quite stored, but it becomes available in the collective pool. And anyone who is ready in their consciousness, even in a little bit, in their prayers, he says, where do you think prayers go? He says, do you think that they go to this God in the sky? He says, think about that a minute. Do they go to the God in the sky? If all is God, What do you think this vibrational pool is? So, do you understand that as you add your own evolutionary essence, he says your own very private transformations, your own sadhana, your own life with a guru, he says as you add that vibrational frequency to the common pool, that common pool is the God. He says, and that is when others can draw from that collective pool, from that God source, energy and healing on their own behalf. Do you understand how the flow works? Did someone have a question? Okay.
Can you do that again? Just briefly?
Okay. He says that this vibrational pool, he starts out by saying, who do you think you are? And who do you think this vibrational pool is? He said, if all is God, there's no God outside of you. If we all are in this collective God together, guess what? This collective pool of energy, this what we might call this melting pot, this great library or bank account, it's not quite right because it is active rather than being a repository. He says this is the God essence among all of you. He says, yes, you can bring in universal, much higher energies than you are ready to accept right now. He says, bring them into that pool. Call for them. He says, so as you add these energies to yourself, they automatically, de facto, we are all part of the same collective. He says, who do you think that collective is? That is the God. You might call it the shared God, but it is the God. Okay? The God on this particular time and space vibrational frequency. So that when another person prays for a miracle, when a person prays for light, he says, where do you think that comes from? It moves through the collective. It gathers from the collective and also from higher sources. He says because it is our willingness, our draw, our magnetism for union, for purity, for light that draws the greater light to this collective. And then this collective also nourishes as well. Now, if a person wants to live in unkindness, he calls it unflattering ego. If a person wants to live in hatred and anger, he says they can have access to that as well. He says, but as any good business is managed, whatever the clients draw forth is what becomes activated. Do you see? He doesn't want anybody to feel guilty if they have ever been angry or annoyed or separate. No, it's part of the process. He says, but look to the transformation. Look to your transformation. He says that is what is needed to go into the collective. He says, do you understand how precious you are? How you are delivered and how you deliver. He says, don't get in your ego about it. He says, just recognize it. Just recognize it. Do you understand that when you live in your God center, you raise the vibration of the collective on this planet? He said it is a very worthwhile process, and scientists will understand it in about 200 years. He says, but for now, simply live it. You are not isolated beings. You are not isolated beings. when you go through your trials, you may think that you're isolated, but the trial is testing you to open up. When we say open your heart, what do you think you're doing? You are opening to that greater, to what you might call the healing source, to the collective source, to the greater source, to the higher vibration that is pulling you to the higher vibrational levels that are present for you. He says you cannot imagine in your mind the expansiveness that you can call upon. This expansiveness that you can call upon to come, to reside within, to expand your collective human drama. He says, please do your heart breath now. And please do your heart breath to expand in clarity. He says to open the note. He calls it a note. The note, he says, is a vibrational hum, which is the carrier, sort of like a wiring to the higher light vibrational qualities to enter the time and space arena. He says, please move into that light. Use your breath, your heart breath, as that vibrational hum. He says you may use a mantra also. That is also a vibrational hum, a wiring that allows what we might call transmission or flow or attraction or magnetism of what we would call the higher etheric realms, the ones that are not impeded, that are not dark, that are not limited, but are fully expansive. Use your breath now to relax. Open your heart breath and relax with the intention of allowing these greater sources of light and vibrational hum to come into what you might call your own vibrational realm, as well as that of our Soul Answer tribe, to Metta. He says into the whole of humanity, into this collective. He calls it a collective ego, because we do identify ourselves as human, living in this time and space. Allow the vibration that goes beyond identity to be attracted into time and space, to stretch it out, to let it breathe, to let go to shine the light in what we might call the dark places. Keep up the heart breath. Be present to this. It's not a heavy burden. It is simply being present to the joy of it. He says, when you do that, all of nature, all of humanity, past, present, and future, is grateful to you. And you are grateful for the ability to participate in this way. He says, we are the collective God. If you are the God posing as an everyday soul, he says, collectively, we are the God, posing as humanity. Keep up the breath. He says this is enlightenment. This is how you become enlightened. Open to it, please. Feel the vibrational hum. Choose a mantra to go with it. Keep up. Guru Ramdas is also here, holding the space. Yogi Bhajan, he says, this is a very sacred moment. Please keep up. keep up. They are holding us steady, so to speak, so that we may be this collective organism, mechanism. Please keep up. Allow yourself, allow this being of who we are as a collective to expand, please. You said it is in your intention. We tend to think, okay, we're just a little separate mind here, and we have this little thought. It says every thought is a vibrational current. Every thought is a vibrational current. He says, so he's not asking you to put your mind in jail, but he is asking you to watch what flows through your mind and how it flows through. Be vigilant. He says this is how you become the lighthouse. Be vigilant. If you see your thoughts going, oh, poor me, oh, that poopy person, oh, why are they doing that? They must be crazy. He says immediately go to heart breath. Let your mind rest. Let yourself become the healer and allow the healing energy to move, to expand in the very difficult and dark places that you have seen. Become the healer. Become the healer, which means allow the healing presence to flow through you into the collective. He says, why continue to allow heavy judgment to smash, to hurt, to engender and continue anger, hurt, display of dishonor? Keep up the breath. Watch your breath. Watch your mind. And enlist your mind. Enlist your mind to continue to be the deepest, the widest offerer of healing energy without limits. He says he's not asking you to become Pollyanna, where you are, where you turn off any kind of negative mind that understands where danger lurks and so on. He's not asking you to do that. But he is asking you to get the information from soul, from the highest guidance. In other words, if you're feeling, oh, that's crappy, that's bad, you go, oh, soul, tell me the truth on this. What is really happening here? For instance, if a person is being mean and angry and so on, if you turn to soul, soul may tell you that this person is in tremendous pain and has no other resource but to spread this pain. So if you react to the pain in the same painful way, what happens? It becomes a mechanism of hurt that is self-perpetuating. If you listen to soul, and if you participate in this healing presence, he says you allow their cycle to be broken, you allow your cycle to be broken, that is the cycle of hurt, pain that is being engendered, and come to one of purity, of light, of openness. He says it gives the whole planet hope. It gives the whole planet a real substance of nurturing. He says, yes, you are the ones that you have been waiting for. You have been waiting for God. He says, my dears, participate humbly and in greatest presence as this God that you are and that you share. All is God. If you can't see God in all, you can't see God at all. This is who you are. He says, make a pact now between your mind and your soul to allow that presence to continue. Know who you are. Know who you are. Be most grateful. And allow yourself to participate wholeheartedly. And that doesn't mean making yourself like Puritans. No. It means grasping the holiness, grasping the light, the joy, the free flow, the contentment, allowing it to flow through you. The greatest heart of compassion is not making you go into a mold of what you think compassion is. No. It means moving into the neutral so that the God can flow through you. Then understand that as compassion. Grasp it, feel it, know it, get the experience, and keep up. That's what it's all about. He said, rest and abide in the understanding that you are all great and fine light workers. And there are many, many more to come. He says, please send your light to them as well. He said, on this magnetic beam, on this vibrational hum. He says, hummy hum, Ram hum. Know who you are. Feel the gratitude. Feel the gratitude. And know that all has its own time. Do not get disgusted with what is happening at each moment. We have talked about evolution. This is the course of evolution. Keep up the breath. And reside comfortably within that flow. As that flow. Good. Let it be known in every cell and in every bit of your consciousness. And now it looks like we have gone a really long time. He says we don't have so much time to share, but he would like each of you to share your realization, your understanding, your opening. So he says, who is going to be the first one to rush forward and to allow us to hear? Who is that? Do you remember, I think it was last week or the week before, when I took a samurai sword? We were each charged with being the first. So there was a rush to the first.
I'm rushing in.
Argobin?
Yeah.
You're rushing in. Great.
I'm rushing in, yeah. So
wonderful.
Maybe I'll get my head cut off with that sword.
Yay.
Then I will
Good
be free.
For you. Wonderful.
Once my head's gone, I'll be free.
You're free now, he says. He says
that?
it's just a matter of realizing it.
That was just a joke. You know, I love to joke around.
I know you do. You're very good. Okay, your experience.
Oh, when you talked about dropping the deafness and explained that was just awesome.
Dropping the what?
Dropping the deafness.
Oh, yes.
In the beginning when you first started.
Mm-hmm.
And that was, when I hear something that's a deep truth for me, I realize that as bliss. That bliss goes all through my body. So when you were talking about that, I was all blissed out.
Oh, fabulous. Fabulous.
And that's really the only thing I wanted to share, but I also wanted to tell you that I wanted to thank you for being such a huge pipe to bring so much water.
Oh, it's really my pleasure. Don't you find that when you do it, it is your pleasure?
Oh, yeah. I love it.
What a privilege, huh?
Yeah.
Yes. You as the teacher and the healer.
I just had a customer this morning on one of my jobs that, if I can share that with you, it was pretty cool because we got into discussion of all kinds of things. I do computer work. I was fixing his computer for him. And we ended up at the end of our conversation, I was telling him that the most important thing to me on my job is that, first of all, is that I come to the person's house as the lighthouse, and I explained to him what the lighthouse was. Because we ended up talking about spirituality, even though we did start out talking about some really negative things. And then I told him that fixing his computer was secondary to that.
Good for you. And what was his response?
He said it makes him happy when his computer gets fixed. He didn't know about the other thing. He said that's what makes him happy. My computer works fast.
Good for you. Well, you planted the seed, dear.
Yeah.
And giving him good results.
Cool.
I love that. Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Now, who else can share?
Siri Gian, I can share.
Siri Gian?
This is Guru Ravi.
Yes, and was there somebody else who spoke up as well?
I did, Rahmane.
Okay, so Rahmani, we're going to take you right after Guru Ravi. Okay? Okay, so go ahead, please. Guru Ravi?
When we were connecting, when Baba Ji and Yogi Ji and Guru Ram Das, all the council was connecting, it felt like a download, but an upgrade at the same time. It felt
you were right.
I like that.
I thought I'd talk to Hargav in there.
The computer guy.
In his language.
I love that one.
And it was such vibration, and I was called to play the gong, so I played the gong through that whole stillness, and it was, it's hard to put into words, but I felt the transformation that I'm feeling in my niece Maida. It felt like that was being expanded through her as we sent her the heart breath at the beginning, and it felt like the collective consciousness was, I don't know, it was so experiential. It's hard to put into words. It was a huge expansion. I've been sitting the last, maybe about a week or so, just sitting with my hands in my laps and becoming expansive and becoming the container, and it felt like that. It's happening without me trying to do it. That's what it felt like.
Wonderful, wonderful. Yes, the energies and the direction of our evolution is definitely moving us just like that, just like you expressed. And it was a sacred moment when how can I say, our mentors, our guides, our highest guides, they were really doing something. He says, well, we still are. I said, okay. Okay, sir. Thank you so much, dear.
Thank you.
Rahmane?
Yeah, a couple of things. One is when you first started talking about metta, I initially thought you were talking about metta in Vipassana, which means loving kindness.
Oh, really?
And in fact, doing metta is the main practice, which is basically sending love. So you were talking about doing metta for metta. Yeah.
I love it. Is that why she is called that? Aunt and uncle, is that why she's called metta?
That was our grandmother's name.
No, really?
Yeah, she's named after our grandmother.
And look at that beautiful explanation. Well, we're going to keep that up.
Yeah.
I felt that too, Rahmani. When I heard that also, I heard loving kindness.
Yeah, and if you
that practice, thank you.
Yeah. Usually it's spelled METTA. So if you Google metta, you'll get just probably thousands of downloads. And also when you were talking about our oneness and our oneness with God, that chant that we were given, God and me and God are one. I was hearing it as God and we and God are one.
I love that. I just love that.
Yeah. And when you were talking about how she becomes the healer, Metta becomes the healer because she elicits the healing through us, that was helpful with Tomas because he needs help so much. And sometimes I think of myself as the giver, and yet I'm realizing that his condition is forcing me into a selflessness that I never even would have considered asking for consciously.
Well, you have asked on the higher level for that.
Yeah.
Haven't you?
Yeah. And then the last thing is that when all the ascended great souls were all gathering with us in this oneness, I had a prayer which was very helpful for me in terms of dealing with the church, which I tend not to deal with because I haven't been drawn at all to anything about Western Christianity. But when in that moment I was feeling that all the people who feel one with Jesus, and because of who Jesus is, my prayer was that they would all experience the kingdom, that consciousness that we were all experiencing, that expansive union with God through Jesus, and they would understand that it was not exclusive to those who are connected to Jesus. And so it just felt like
Go ahead.
It just felt like a really strong positive prayer that I could put energy into to help all that billion people who have a personal connection with Jesus come into expanded universal awareness instantly.
Isn't that wonderful?
Yeah.
He says, please do the same thing for all of those who call on Allah or any other form of the God essence.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, dear. Well, we just have a couple more minutes. Who else can come forward?
This is Sadanam.
Oh, we have two people. We have Sadanam and who else?
Sadhna.
Okay, we're going to take Sadanam, and then we're going to take Sadhna. Sadanam. Manitya Atma as well. Okay.
I wasn't even supposed to be here today, and so I had this question about healing, and so I just ran to the phone and got on the line, and everything that was shared is just going to be helpful in answering that. But yesterday, when you said that Metta was the healer, I was getting some body work done yesterday by a person who had been in a very bad auto accident. And I don't even know what my question is on healing, but the way she responded kind of helped me with what I'm dealing with about healing. And she said, when I was in that state of being, I don't know if she was unconscious. I think she was unconscious. She was almost dead. And she said, and I was asking, I go, so are the prayers helpful? She goes, I was just so with God. I was completely neutral. It didn't matter if I died or if I lived. I was just in this beautiful neutral state. And I thought, oh, wow, okay, that's, and I'm not saying don't pray, don't heal or anything, I think is what's coming through, but we need to get to that neutral space ourselves first.
That's right.
Otherwise we're just kind of, what she said, she goes, I think all the prayers and all the whatever is going on is really was for themselves. And that's when you said she's the healer by calling on the healing of all of us. I thought, oh, wow, you just, Baba Siri Chand just said that. So anyway, that's kind of my question. It's not, I hope that's kind of clear.
How wonderful. It really points up the fact that there's really no victim.
Yeah. I mean, we struggle to heal people. Oh, you've got to get healed. But everybody is with God already. It doesn't matter if they drop this body and take a new body. Someone's got a phone going. Or if they continue on in this present state, with this body, we're never separated from God.
That's right.
The soul is never lost.
That's right. And the soul is always patient until we get it.
Yeah.
Until we come into union through neutrality. Yes, that's right. Good. Well, thank you so much, dear. We really appreciate that.
Thank you for sharing everything today.
Sadhna.
Yes, I want to share 2 experiences that I saw and had and felt. And one was at the beginning talking with Metta in our heart. I saw, oh my gosh, my heart is just beating like crazy. And I have to tell you how emotional I am about Guru Gobind Singh. I mean, if I start thinking about him or talking about him, I have to go cry for a couple of weeks. I'm just so tender with him. I don't know how that is. But anyway, Guru Gobind Singh I saw the structure. It was kind of this square thing. It was a mechanical, brilliant creation. And it was Guru Gobind Singh, and it was the ventilator.
The ventilator?
Yeah, it was the breather.
Oh.
It was in the hospital.
Oh, okay, wonderful. Go ahead.
And then And then I had my hands upon Mary's feet, and it was a mutual exchange of healing, but I was healing Mary's feet, the mother of Jesus, and I was like, well, I can't really do that. I'm just me, But it was that, and it was like what Guru Ravi said. It was that instant exchange of both, and there was no difference, so I could do that.
And Baba Siri Chand is saying, do you know how much trial and tribulation Mary's feet carry from the collective? Go ahead.
Yes. Didn't Yogi Amandeep speak about the feet carrying us and
yeah, he talked about the feet as in the underworld and so on. But then he talked about to purify the feet, to become the lotus feet.
Yes. Yes. So when he was talking about that, I had the fear of feet, which is like where I've walked and how I walk, which isn't really a fear, but it's there's a mindfulness, and then the healing of the feet that happens.
That's wonderful.
Yes, thank you.
He says, please keep up. You're going to find out so much more. He says, very good, he says. He says, A+.
I said that to John this morning.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I go, you get A+ today.
What goes around comes around, huh?
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, God bless you. And thank everyone. He's thanking everyone and asking you to be in this awareness, this consciousness, this expansion. He says that is primarily based in the heart center. Of course, we have to have access through all the chakras. He says we must use all the chakras. He says, but the primary point at this time is the heart center. So God bless you all, and thank you so much. And we're keeping up. Okay, so sit straight now. We are going to do our closing song. Palms together. Inhale. May the long time sun shine upon you. All love surround you. Guide your way on. Guide your way on. Inhale. Bow to the lotus feet of all humanity with love, graciousness, and gratitude. Love you all. Talk to you soon. Oh, Satnam. And join us on Facebook. Satnam. Bye-bye. Bye.